months it's going to be 100 degrees, so I'm enjoying this right now.
Yeah, winter storms packing a punch along the West Coast with downed trees, power outages, and surf warnings. Good evening. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Christian Cafton. People in Oregon and California are dealing with rain and strong winds, and there's a lot more to come. Tonight, thousands of people are without power in the metro area of Portland, Oregon. Strong winds brought down trees, dragging down power lines with them. The wind knocked out power to as many as 11,000 utility customers. The strength of the wind and the weight of those downed trees surprised a lot of people.
And all of a sudden the lights blinked and there's a big loud noise, a crash. I mean, we thought car, fireworks, it's New Year's. And then there were 3 more explosions and we're up there and it just lit up the bedroom.
There are no immediate reports of anyone injured. Thousands of people have also been without power in the San Francisco Bay Area and other parts of Northern California. Utility workers are preparing for the possibility of more downed trees and power lines. The main utility in the Bay Area, PG&E, is telling its customers to also make their own plans just in case the power goes out.
We have a plan, PG&E has a plan, and we encourage our customers to have one as well. Especially, we want customers to treat any downed electric lines as live, stay away from them.
And on the coast, a high surf warning is now in effect until tomorrow. Authorities are warning that waves on the Northern California coastline could reach as high as 30 feet. Meteorologist Roberta Gonzalez joining us now with a look at that wet, windy weather now rolling onshore. Right, Roberta?
Right, Christian. And also, let's back it up a bit because you were mentioning the high surf warning, and we cannot jump up and down enough about that because every time we see that kind of a scenario developing, we see the people looky-loos wanting to go out and take a look at those big, beautiful waves, and it's extremely dangerous. And now that it is the holiday and the holiday week, we have a lot of visitors in town around the Bay Area, also into the Southland, across the Los Angeles area, and well into the Pacific Northwest. Please just do not go on the jetties. Do not go on the rocks. These waves, they're sneaker waves as well. They can sweep you out into the very cold waters. Now, this is the system right now that is affecting the Pacific Northwest and well into Northern California. Void of any activity is Southern California. Behind it is a secondary system. This is the system that will affect all of California. But right now, as we cue on in at this recent storm here, we see the rain showers while they continue around the Seattle area, backing into Portland and right there into Medford, lifting out of Mendocino County in towards Medford. And here you have the Bay Area. Copious amounts of precipitation has fallen up to 2 inches in some of the wettest locations of the North Bay. Meanwhile, here's Southern California from San Diego into the Mojave Desert of Barstow, all the way into Los Angeles. No precipitation, only cloud cover, and that continues to drift towards Phoenix and lifting up towards Las Vegas. Now, as the system passes, you can clearly see no rain showers around San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara, but the influence of the system to the north is churning up the surf. So you do have that high surf warning in effect all the way into Santa Barbara. Now, meanwhile, air temperature 57 degrees in San Francisco. It is 58 degrees in Los Angeles. And with these very mild temperatures, we cannot rule out the potential of a thunderstorm from Friday through Saturday from Northern California into Southern California. I'll tell you what, next time around, we're going to pinpoint your forecast for all of these areas. That's a little bit later in this newscast. Christian?
All right, Roberta, all eyes on the forecast as we get ready for New Year's Eve. Meanwhile, the storm brought as much as 8 inches of snow to parts of the Denver metro area, and people in some neighborhoods now criticizing the city for not plowing enough streets. Fox 31 Denver's Gabrielle Franklin has more.
They don't get cleared up, except the main thoroughfares. They do pretty good, but other than that, they got to hit these side streets.
Ron has lived in Cap Hill for about 10 years. On days like today, he even shovels several blocks for his neighbors. And while he says shoveling to make sure older neighbors don't get a ticket is no problem, there's something he feels the city should do.
It's just dangerous, you slipping and sliding, you start running into cars and everything, cause accidents. Just, it's nice and clear, everybody just goes along their way, So they should hit the side streets, though. They should. At least the main ones.
I'm definitely used to like 5 days without like plowing in general, or if you even see one, if you're lucky to even see one.
Other Cap Hill neighbors like John have grown accustomed to the snowy side streets, but he wishes things were different.
Because I'm from upstate New York, so I'm used to a ton of snows, but they're way better at like keeping it up on the roads and clearing it out. So I feel like there's like 1 million plows out like each night, and in Denver you wake up and it's just kind of like the same vibe as the day before as far as like how high the snow is.
The city's Department of Transportation was able to clear out main streets quickly for today's shower, deploying 40 plows early to hit the main streets. But even with around 2 to 4 inches on the ground, the city says this snowfall wasn't enough to send out their residential pickup truck plows.
But they can be helpful in clearing a path to the main streets and in preventing deep ice ruts when we get a significant amount of snow followed by really cold temperatures. So they really can be helpful in certain snow events. We didn't get much snow for this event, and so putting out those resources really wouldn't make much of a difference based on that equipment and what it can do.
That was Gabrielle Franklin reporting. The weather is taking a toll on airports across the country and here in the West. Taking a look now at FlightAware's misery map, where you can see the storm patterns and just how they're affecting the major hubs as of right now. More than 300 flights in and out of Denver were delayed today. The FAA also imposed a ground delay at SFO because of low cloud ceilings. More than 400 flights have been delayed so far at SFO. Travelers also faced obstacles getting to their flights at LAX, though not because of the weather. A group of pro-Palestinian protesters blocked traffic at the entrance to the busy airport. Police said they detained dozens of people before the road was clear. Fox 11's Christy Fajardo has our story.
You think the Palestinian children being bombed are inconvenienced?
Protesters made no apologies as almost 36 were led away in handcuffs. The LAPD says demonstrators carrying signs reading Free Palestine blocked the intersection at Century and Sepulveda with makeshift barricades of debris, trash cans, and tree branches. This is what it looked like from Skyfox. That's when police say things turned violent.
When they heard that the unlawful assembly was declared, some started to leave the area and others became aggressive with the police officers. One police officer was thrown to the ground by a protester, so police squads came in to make arrests.
The LAPD says protesters also clashed with the arresting officers and at one point tried to get into the Sheraton and were stopped by officers and security, but managed to scrawl "ceasefire now" on a hotel sign before retreating. This was the scene from Skyfox as they ran through the streets. And although crews closed lanes to clear debris for well over an hour, at LAX, most travelers say they made it to the airport without any problems and were unaware of what had happened.
I think my grandma told us something about it, that it was on the news.
Travelers were also unaware of why they were protesting and have mixed reactions to their methods.
Hold up signs, do something to make it vocal and not destructive, if that makes sense.
The good thing about being an American is you can, say what you feel and protest about anything that you want to protest about. So that's our God-given right.
But scenes like this one at LAX are becoming more common. Protesters calling for a ceasefire in Gaza also blocked traffic into the airport on December 15th. And activists know the airport's international fame means disruptions make headlines.
We monitor these folks' social media. We watch and learn and listen to where they want to protest. And it can be a delicate balance, right? Because as an organization, we will always facilitate, support, and assist their First Amendment expression. We want them to express their ideas in a safe way.
And top officials from the Biden administration are in Mexico to urge Mexico's president to help drive down illegal border crossings. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas arrived in Mexico City today for talks with President López Obrador. The talks take place as the U.S. is reporting 250,000 migrant encounters at the border in December alone. The Biden administration is committed to expanding legal pathways for migrants, but says it needs more funding from Congress. And city leaders across the country, including the mayor of Houston, are calling for more help with asylum seekers, including those bused from other parts of the country. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has bused more than 80,000 migrants to cities led by Democratic mayors since last year. Last week, Texas started sending chartered planes. At a virtual news conference, the mayors of New York, Chicago, and Denver criticized the practice and called for federal aid.
We have federal resources and we have work authorization. We also ought to be able to have a coordinated entry plan by which the country as a whole sets a strategy for where newcomers arrive and where they can be welcomed in a way that we know cities can successfully support.
The mayors say the buses arrive at all hours and leave passengers outside designated drop-off areas. They are trying to crack down on rogue buses with fines, tickets, and lawsuits. Post-pandemic changes coming to one state when it comes to liquor deliveries. Are minors getting booze delivered? Also,
oh yeah, I definitely noticed it because there's a lot of rock showing still in some areas.
after a big winter sports year last year, we will tell you which resorts are off to a slow start this year. Stay with us. Comedian Tom Smothers, the older half of the Smothers Brothers comedy duo, has died. He passed away at his home in Santa Rosa, California yesterday after a battle with cancer. His brother, Dick Smothers, released a statement saying, quote, Tom was not only the loving older brother that everyone would want in their life, he was a one-of-a-kind creative partner. I am forever grateful to have spent a lifetime together with him on and off the stage for over 60 years. He was 86 years old. That 70s show actor Danny Masterson is now in state prison to serve his sentences on 2 rape convictions. Authorities say 47-year-old Masterson was admitted to North Kern State Prison in Delano, California. He was convicted in September, a judge sentencing him to 30 years in prison. He has been held in LA County Jail while post-sentencing hearings were resolved. Masterson was also ordered to turn over all of the guns he owns. It will be at least 25 years before he's eligible for parole. Starting next week, hundreds of new laws will go into effect in western states, including new restrictions on firearms in California. One controversial piece of gun legislation has already been challenged in court. Last week, a Southern California judge ruled that California can't restrict people from carrying concealed weapons in 26 types of public places, like bars, zoos, and playgrounds. Constitutional law professor Matthew Cole believes a new California law that adds a tax to firearm retail sales will also likely withstand a court challenge.
I think the state's trying to take a sensible attitude toward guns. I mean, look at it this way. You know, we don't let anybody operate a motor vehicle in California unless they've got a license. I think unless they've taken a driver's course.
The federal government already taxes the sale of guns and ammunition. Starting next month, California will add another 11% tax on top of that, making the Golden State the only one in the nation with its own tax on guns and ammunition. Starting January 1st, Washington State will have a few new definitions of what counts as illegal street racing. Senate Bill 5606 will include drifting and racing off the streets as illegal racing crimes. This will make parking lots and garage spinouts illegal. People who are considered accomplices to racing will also face harsher penalties. All of this comes after a noticeable uptick in street racing in Tacoma and the Tri-Cities area. Several states, including California and Oregon, relaxed restrictions on alcohol delivery during the pandemic. But now, in Oregon, regulators are increasing their scrutiny, requiring delivery companies to re-register with the state at the beginning of the new year. Fox 12's Drew Reeves explains.
Since the pandemic began, alcohol delivery has become commonplace. But now the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission is cracking down on third-party delivery apps like DoorDash and Uber Eats, requiring them to get a new permit at the start of 2024. It's called the Third-Party Facilitator Permit. The goal is to make sure these apps are following OLCC regulations when it comes to selling and delivering alcohol, training their delivery people to check IDs to make sure customers are 21 and ensure the recipient isn't noticeably intoxicated. In a press release, the OLCC says before this oversight, apps could, quote, leave alcoholic beverages on doorsteps without confirming that the order was received by an adult 21 years or older, or that the delivery recipient wasn't visibly intoxicated. Companies will be allowed to manage the training program, but they'll need to get it reviewed and approved by the OLCC for $250. The OLCC says this shouldn't be an issue because some companies already follow regulations like this in other states where they operate. DoorDash sent us a statement about the new requirements, saying in part, quote, "We're deeply committed to responsible alcohol delivery, and that's why we've put in place robust and industry-leading safety features. We look forward to working alongside regulators to ensure alcohol delivery in Oregon remains a safe option."
Seattle-based e-commerce company Zulily announced that it will be officially closing and liquidating its assets. In a letter to its company website, it says Zulily is trying to fulfill all of its pending orders and plans to refund any order they cannot finish. The company recently laid off hundreds of people from its Seattle headquarters and declared bankruptcy. Just 2 weeks ago, Zulily filed a lawsuit against Amazon, claiming Amazon violated antitrust laws in the state by trying to curb retail price competition through price fixing, prompting Zulily to end its discount sales strategy. A mild December on the West Coast is leading to a slow start for the snow season. That's leaving skiers without much fresh powder. Fox's Chelsea Torres has a look at how some resorts in Washington are trying to lure those skiers back.
Those who run the ski resort say they have less snow than they typically do this time of year, which means all the trails are not completely open for those wanting to hit the slopes.
I've been coming to 49 since about 2017.
Ski resorts in the Pacific Northwest, like 49 Degree North, aren't seeing their usual amount of snowfall so far. Longtime skiers like Tyler Johansson see the difference.
Oh yeah, I definitely noticed it because there's a lot of rock showing still in some areas.
This El Nino weather pattern that we're seeing has really affected most of the country, at least early on. We're starting to see the storms roll into some areas. I know the Rockies and the Wasatch, the Colorado and Utah areas are starting to see snow.
Skiers and snowboarders who want to shred the slopes, resorts are trying to improve how fast people get on the mountain, no matter the conditions.
After we got the new high-speed lift here, a lot more people have been coming up. It cut our time from the top to the bottom in half.
The National Ski Areas Association says last winter season hit a record amount of people visiting the mountains. Despite the slow start this year, Brown is confident they'll have a good turnout this season.
Getting the word out that the skiing is good, that it's worth coming out, there's no reason to wait.
When ski resorts can't rely on Mother Nature, they use these kind of snow makers like the one behind me. There's about 15 of them for this resort, and up until today, they've used 7 million gallons of water just to make snow for the entire area. In Chihuahua, Washington, Chelsea Torres, Fox News.
People headed to the Sierra in California and Nevada this weekend will find a decent amount of snow with more on the way. More than 2 feet of snow can be found at Mammoth Mountain, which is not a lot of snow for this time of year. With the storms inbound, the resort is also making snow. Mammoth Resort says despite the smaller snowpack, Mammoth has the most terrain open for skiers in California.
There are 17 chairlifts open, servicing over 110 runs. We're open top to bottom with skiing out of all 3 of our base lodges. So off to a pretty good start here for the holiday season. Today is the beginning of the busy period up here on the slopes. Mammoth's elevation is higher. We are known for big snowfalls and long seasons. The base of our mountain here, where I'm standing, is about 9,000 feet, which is the summit of a lot of the Tahoe destinations. So that allows, in lower snow years, usually Mammoth picks up a little bit more.
That resort expecting more snow tonight and into the weekend.
Absolutely. More snow in the forecast for the weekend. Today, Tahoe only picked up about 1 inch of snow above 7,500 feet because this was more of a wind maker today affecting the Pacific Northwest and Northern California. It did produce up to 2 full inches of rain in the North Bay of the San Francisco area. That's in the highest elevations. But this system back here is the one that will affect all of California by Saturday. Meanwhile, cloud cover in Seattle from Thursday through Saturday. Bright sunshine in Denver, backing through Phoenix. But meanwhile, Los Angeles, get the umbrellas ready for Saturday rainfall. Each and every day through Saturday, you've got rain in the San Francisco Bay Area. Christian?
You? People in Arizona have a chance to experience and learn about snow this week in the middle of the desert. The annual Snow Week event at the Arizona Science Center is taking place right now. Once a year, scientists there create snow and allow kids to make snow angels, snowmen, and have, of course, a great snowball fight. Families then get a chance to learn more about a number of climate-related topics.
We've got live demonstrations, everything from ice and snow science demos, liquid nitrogen and states of matter, to fire, which is the opposite. So looking at that fire and ice opposites science.
The Science Center says it's producing more than 150 tons of snow this week to create the ultimate snow experience. Well, it's an annual New Year's Day tradition, but it takes a lot of work and volunteers to put it all together. Still to come, the preparations underway for this year's Rose Parade. Preparations are underway for New Year's Eve in Las Vegas. The Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority projects more than 350,000 people will visit Las Vegas on Sunday, including locals. More than 400,000 people are expected to be on the Las Vegas Strip to ring in the new year. The holiday is expected to bring in as much as $727 million in direct and indirect spending in the Vegas economy. And another New Year's tradition is the Rose Parade in Pasadena, California, on New Year's Day. Artists and volunteers are busy assembling this year's floats, which will travel down the 5.5-mile parade route. Fox 11's Mario Ramirez has a look at the work it takes to make the parade a reality.
Around 40 floats are being featured in this year's parade, 5 of them made here at Fiesta Parade Floats, and the theme this year is celebrating a world of music. Volunteers are hard at work bringing these masterpieces to life.
It feels really good. I like helping people a lot, and it's really fun seeing all the nice, good floats.
We've really been able to see all of these floats come to life. It takes hours and hours of dedication from thousands of volunteers. Jolene has a special connection to this year's Donate Life float. Tell me about it.
My father is a fluorograph. When he passed away, he became a cornea donor. My connection also is that we're Native American. My father is Kickapoo Traditional of Texas, and I am registered citizen Potawatomi of Oklahoma from my mother's side.
That's great. And what's it like? I know you can see some of the volunteers here to see this really come together and represent your tribe.
It's amazing to see that our Native American culture is being represented this year. It's an honor, actually, to have my dad on the float.
My son Josh passed away 15 years ago, and he was a donor, and he was able to donate tissue, eyes, and heart valve.
Well, that's amazing that his legacy is carrying on through this float. Tell me a little bit about the technique that you're using. I see you have a flat iron here.
I do. We're drying and crimping the corn husk to put on the float.
The work from some of these volunteers will continue to the very last minute, and these floats will make their way down the 5.5-mile parade route in downtown Pasadena Monday morning. In Irwindale, I'm Mario Ramirez, Fox 11 News.
And thanks for joining us tonight. You can stay up to date on all the stories we're covering online. Have a great evening.